the reason why we call them protection mode and safety mode is because a lot more happens than what you're seeing here. You're seeing pupils and salivation and airway and heart rate and stomach digestion and all these things. But what we don't also know is that these nervous system states, so protection mode and safety mode, also govern our thoughts and our emotions. Are you ready to bring your dream body and health into life, but just can't seem to keep the motivation going? And is it finally time to address the self-sabotage and the unwanted eating behaviors such as binge eating, emotional eating, and nighttime eating that you know are getting in the way of your goals? Do you ever wonder what it would take for you to feel in control of your rituals so that you can stay consistent and see results? Welcome to this week's special Make Peace with Food Minisode on the Fall in Love with Fitness podcast, where you'll learn how to overcome unwanted eating behavior and other self-sabotaging habits by shifting your nervous system so that your body works with you instead of against you. I'm your host, Shaban, and with each episode, I am honored to be your coach and guide in the journey to make peace with food and find food and body freedom so that struggle with weight is a thing of the past. When you tune in every Thursday on the Fall in Love with Fitness podcast, you'll catch the latest conversation on unwanted eating behaviors and learn how to shift the nervous system, rewire the brain to new patterns, and end the food and body obsession so you finally feel relaxed and no longer confused around food. Now, before we begin, I want to quickly invite you to grab a free copy of my Food Freedom ebook that I have for you at makepeacewithfood.com. And if you find that this conversation resonates with you today, then I also want to invite you to join our free Make Peace with Food Facebook community at myfoodfreedomlifestyle.com, where you can connect with me and my team directly. The links are in the show notes. And of course, if you know somebody who you feel could benefit from these conversations and discussions, make sure to share this podcast with them too. All right, athletes, now let's get into it. Well, without further ado, let's talk about the nervous system. I love this conversation because I hope today that what you're about to hear is something that you're hearing really for the first time. And again, why this is important is because after this conversation, you're going to realize exactly what's going on and how this whole entire time, it was not a discipline issue. It was not a motivation issue. It wasn't that there was anything wrong with you, which is why you noticed you're constantly self-sabotaging. So the part of the nervous system that we are interested in and that we talk about is the autonomic nervous system. Now, there's two parts of the nervous system. There's the central nervous system, and then there's the autonomic nervous system. The central nervous system is the one under our voluntary control. So if I say raise my arms, Sherry, I raise my arms, right? That is the muscles, that is the nerves that actually do motor function. But the autonomic nervous system, that's the part of the nervous system that controls heart rate and controls respiration, it controls blood pressure, it secretes hormones. It's really taking care of all the things that we don't need to think about right now. So we're all digesting right now. I don't have to tell my body to digest and tell my liver to produce enzymes. It's taking care of itself. This is under the governing function of the autonomic nervous system. Now, the autonomic nervous system is separated into two components. We have sympathetic and we have parasympathetic. Parasympathetic, you may have heard of as rest or digest, and that is more of our default mode. You're going to hear us talking about that as safety mode. So parasympathetic, rest and digest, moving forward, you're only going to hear it as safety mode. Now, the sympathetic nervous state, that is fight or flight response. That is the part of the nervous system that gets ready for you to take action, to be able to run, to fight, to protect yourself, or to flee, or even to hide or freeze. And we're going to talk about this part of the nervous system and refer to it as protection mode. So protection mode is going to be sympathetic and safety mode is parasympathetic. And the reason I term them that, protection mode and safety mode, and the reason why we call them protection mode and safety mode is because a lot more happens than what you're seeing here. You're seeing pupils and salivation and airway and heart rate and stomach digestion and all these things. But what we don't also know is that these nervous system states, so protection mode and safety mode, also govern our thoughts and our emotions, okay? Protection mode is that part of the nervous system state, the autonomic nervous system, that is responsible for survival. It helps us survive any danger in our environment. And it's triggered anytime we feel unsafe in our environment, which we're going to expand on in just a moment. But protection mode is really there to help you run, to help you fight, to help you really be able to protect yourself for just that moment. But it's only supposed to be there for the moment, because the majority of the time you're supposed to be living in safety mode. So it's desirable for the body to actually be in safety mode. And what happens in protection mode, and this is going to start to make sense, because the body is geared for survival and its one primary function is making sure that you do not perish, it's going to do everything possible to make sure that you conserve as much energy to help you survive longer. And so what it does is it slows down your metabolism right away. When you are in protection mode, the first thing that happens is your metabolism slows down. And this is happening on a physiological level. So physiologically, your metabolism slows down. Your body learns to conserve energy. You're going to feel more tired. You're going to feel more sluggish. You're going to feel lazy, as they say. You're going to feel lack of motivation. But that's really your body trying to protect you by helping you conserve energy. It doesn't want to use its stored fat reserves because, oh my goodness, like you may need them. It has no idea. This is the reptilian brain, right? This has no idea whether or not there really is a famine coming. The only goal is I need to ensure survival. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that as much energy as we have is going to last longer. Now, the other thing that it does is it turns on the binge response. It turns on the binge response. Now, listen carefully, the binge response. This is a natural part of the reptilian brain. We all have that mechanism that we're able to turn on depending on which nervous system state we're in. Why is that? Even though we don't like it, even though we don't want to overeat, even though we feel out of control around food, even though we call it emotional eating, what's really, really happening is that your body, again, is just lovingly trying to ensure your survival. It just feels like there's a threat. There's some sort of threat in the environment, and it wants to make sure that you're going to stay alive. And so what does it do? It asks you to eat. But notice it doesn't just ask you to eat just about anything. It's not asking you to eat celery and carrots, right? Do you ever notice when you're feeling emotionally hungry or you're in a binge, you're not like, oh, I really am craving a salad and I think I want some cucumbers in there. No, you're thinking about high calorie, high fat foods. And that's an intense craving that you have. And so this begins to explain why you have so many intense cravings that are insatiable. It's like a bottomless pit. And that's exactly what your body's trying to do. It's trying to get you to store as much energy as possible in the form of body fat. So again, here we are, let's diet, and we're going to get into why that actually harms us in just a moment. Let's diet, let's keep moving, let's exercise a little bit more, let's do a little bit more cardio because I got to lose weight. But your body's fighting you. It's like, no, you're going to eat. No, I'm going to make this workout really suck. Like I'm going to make you feel exhausted. I'm going to make you want to change your mind. I'm going to project thoughts and emotions that are going to talk you out of everything that you're doing. That's what your body's doing when you are in protection mode. Okay. Now, safety mode, like we said, that is the natural state of our nervous system. We should likely be in this nervous system state for about 80% of the time. 20% of the time we can be in protection mode, but then we have to come back to safety mode. And that's not really what we do in our environment, right? In our society, what do? Go, 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 make more money, buy more things, do more stuff, be successful, go, go. And then all these life events and kids and this and be perfect and be a perfect mom. And you have to do all these things. And so we're doing all these things and constantly in protection mode, finish one project, move into the next, finish this, go into the next, finish a traumatic event, and then another traumatic event. We never have a moment to go back to safety mode. But safety mode is where all the healing happens. The safety mode is actually where fat release happens too. Remember, protection mode favors fat storage. Safety mode favors fat release. And that's where digestion happens. Remember, it's rest and digest. And so our gut that's responsible to break down, assimilate nutrients, and really oxidize fats, all of it, our digestive system, that's not favored, because when we're in protection mode, what is favored is our muscles, it's our extremities. All of our blood flow goes to the arms, to the legs. We're ready to take action. This is not as important, right? So our digestive system is not as important. We're binging, we're overeating, we don't want to move, and we're ready to somehow ensure our survival. And so in safety mode, we can favor digestion, we can favor healing. And that's where we're creative. That's where really ideas flow. And if you notice, and if you watch any animals in the wild, they don't tend to procreate until they're feeling safe, right? Until they've found shelter and food and there's no other animals trying to eat them, then they make babies. Otherwise, they don't make babies. Or you see also a very, very stressed mother, as soon as she has her babies, she ends up killing them or eating them because she's in protection mode, right? She knows that they're not going to survive. That's what happens when we can see that happening in nature. but we actually follow the same principles too. We just don't realize that it's happening in a very, very different place and a different level. And so safety mode is favoring that release of stored energy because it doesn't need it. It's abundant. It doesn't need to hold on to that stored energy. The metabolism speeds up. Also the binging stops. That overeating mechanism stops. So protection mode, you have an overeating mechanism. Your binge mechanism is on. You favor fat storage. That's the primary goal, survival. And when you're in safety mode, then that's where the healing happens and you're able to release fat. Thank you for listening to this week's Make Peace with Food Minisode on the Fall in Love with Fitness podcast. If this has resonated with you today, I want to invite you to subscribe to the show so you never miss a beat. And if you know someone who could benefit from this conversation, then please share this episode with them. Let's work together to help as many people as possible make peace with food and fall in love with fitness. And by the way, I need to mention that if you rate and review this podcast on iTunes and send over the screenshot to Sherry at sherryshaban.com, you'll receive a $500 voucher to join me at one of my upcoming retreats or to use it in our Make Peace with Food coaching program. And don't forget to visit myfoodfreedomlifestyle.com to join the free Facebook group for more resources. And remember, athlete, you are an inspiration. I cannot wait to hear your story.